Ah, I love the stories about the Forest of Whisper. Now, I grew up on fairy tales where the heroes always defeated the evil queen or won the princess's hand in the end. But as I got older, the fairy tales I liked best were the ones with less happily ever after and more open endings. You know, the ones that made you think? These were the kind of stories my grandmother used to tell me. She called them thinking caps. Now, I don't remember everything she told me, but the ones that stuck with me the most, well, I'll share those with you. My grandmother's stories and the things I learned from them. And as you watch, if you like stories that make you think, leave a comment down below. Tell me which fairy tale or folk tale you wish I'd cover next. But without further ado, let's begin. Once upon a time, deep within an emerald forest, nestled between mountains as tall as giants and valleys as green as moss, there existed a place unknown to most. It was a place where sunlight dripped like honey, where rivers sang and trees gossiped secrets to the wind. It was called the Whispering Woods. In the heart of the woods lived the Whisperers, beings of pure energy who dwelled in the spaces between leaves and blossoms. They were as numerous as blades of grass and as elusive as shadows. They communicated not with words, but with feelings and images sent directly into the minds of those who entered the woods. To the untrained eye, the Whisperers were invisible, yet their presence was undeniable. A symphony of sensations that played upon entering the forest. Some experienced moments of clarity, visions of their true selves, or glimpses of potential futures. Others heard symphonies composed of the forest's joy and sorrow, triumphs and defeats. One day, a young man named Rowan stumbled into the Whispering Woods. He was burdened by life's complexities. Tangled webs of worry and doubt spun by his own mind. Rowan sought solitude, hoping the woods would grant it. But little did he know, the Whisperers had other plans. As Rowan ventured deeper, the forest seemed to hum with anticipation. The trees parted as if to reveal a hidden path. Wildflowers bloomed in vibrant hues, painting the ground with splashes of color. Birds sang melodies that echoed ancient wisdom, and the murmuring stream carried whispers of forgotten dreams. Overwhelmed by the sensory overload, Rowan collapsed on a mossy log, tears streaming down his face. He questioned his sanity, wondering if the forest itself had driven him to the brink. Suddenly, a white butterfly alighted on his hand, its wings shimmering with ethereal beauty. Then, just as quickly, it vanished. Moments later, a vision filled his mind, a vision of himself as an artist, painting the world with the colors of his emotions. With renewed determination, Rowan shook off the remnants of his anxiety and followed the butterfly deeper into the woods. He soon found a clearing bathed in golden sunlight. In its center stood a majestic oak, its branches reaching towards the sky like welcoming arms. As Rowan approached, the oak seemed to pulse with energy. Whispers swirled around him, urging him to climb. Hesitantly, Rowan began to ascend. With each upward step, his burden grew lighter, replaced by a sense of purpose. Finally, atop the oak's thickest bough, he sat cross-legged, feeling an inexplicable connection with the tree. Then the Whisperers revealed themselves. Not as terrifying as he'd imagined, but as benign as the rustling leaves. They enveloped him in a wave of calm, soothing his troubled mind. One whisper emerged stronger than the others, guiding Rowan to channel his anxiety into creativity. Inspired, Rowan spent his days painting in the clearing. His canvases burst with colors and textures mirroring the emotional landscape of the Whispering Woods. Each stroke of his brush released another fragment of his burden, until his paintings became an extension of his soul. Yet as his art flourished, a part of him yearned for home. He missed the familiar sights and sounds of his life outside the woods. Realizing his journey was complete, Rowan descended the oak. The Whisperers gathered around him, their whispers expressing both joy and sadness at his departure. As he stepped out of the woods, the boundary between order and chaos blurred. Returning to his old life, Rowan found it transformed. Colors seemed more vibrant, sounds richer, and connections deeper. Though forever changed by his experience, Rowan knew he couldn't stay in the Whispering Woods. He had art to show the world, stories to tell. With a heavy heart, he bid farewell to the Whisperers, promising to carry their lessons with him. Now, whether Rowan's journey was a dream or reality, that's for you to decide. What do you think? Share your thoughts in the comments. What matters is how his story changed him. In many stories, the hero slays the dragon and wins the princess and lives happily ever after. But in real life, we don't always defeat our dragons or get our happily ever after. Sometimes we learn to live with our monsters. Sometimes our princesses look more like trolls, and sometimes the monsters turn out to be ourselves. But if you're willing to confront these monsters, unravel these trolls, and understand yourself, you might find something more valuable than a happy ending. You might find growth, change, and understanding. My grandmother's fairy tales weren't just about dragons and princesses. They were about growing up, facing fears, and accepting the complexities of life. They taught me that happily ever after isn't a guarantee, but a choice. Choice to keep trying, to keep believing, and to keep growing, no matter what. If you like stories that explore complex themes and leave room for interpretation, leave a comment below. Tell me what lessons you've learned from the story. I'm curious to hear your thoughts. And with that, it's time for our final thought. Remember the Whispering Woods, the Whisperers and Rowan's journey? How does it relate to us? Well, we all have our Whispering Woods, our places of solitude and introspection. We all have our whispers, our moments of clarity, and we all have our burdens to bear. It's up to us to find our roans, our catalysts for change. And when we do, we must be willing to listen, to grow, and to emerge transformed. I hope you enjoyed today's fairy tale. If you did, please consider subscribing to join us on this storytelling journey. Your support means the world to me. Until next time, remember, the most magical stories are the ones we create in our own hearts. Thank you for watching.